Hello, 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 everyone. How are y'all doing on this lovely day? I have only two fantastic guests with me this afternoon. Can we please get an introduction from the man in the lovely conserve hoodie back there doodling?
Dalton.
Hello, Dalton. And who is sitting low riding next to him?
I'm trying not to get. I'm trying to see so that we can see Dalton.
I know the camera's just a little low.
Yeah.
That probably doesn't help.
My name is Travis Paul. People call me Paul.
Hello, Paul. Maybe raise the legs on the camera. Yeah. So while he does that, anyway, while he does that, I'm just gonna put that on me. That was a little less disorienting. So today's overview. Hello, my name is Aaliyah. I'm the lovely host this evening. I don't usually host, so this is a special one for y'all and for me. I am what I would call a spooky gal. I do be rocking with ghost stories, ghost time, ghost experiences. I love horror movies. I would call myself a horror movie connoisseur, maybe even a fanatic. I like it.
Hello.
It's like you're a rapper, like one of those like SoundCloud rappers.
Yeah.
But anyway, to kick off this episode, our first question of the day is, do y'all believe in ghosts?
I believe in spirits.
If you believe spirits and ghosts, I would consider the same thing. It's just like potato type situation.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you believe in spirits and an afterlife, then you essentially believe in someone also having the capability to have unfinished business and that sort of thing.
Not necessarily that. I believe in spirits as in like
Soul.
like demonic spirits. Not as in like oh, someone's in the afterlife like chilling, like scaring me. You know what I mean? But I still think like if I watch a spooky movie with like ghosts in it, it's scary. Because I don't believe it, don't mean I don't think it's scary. You know
no, because like I mean, you don't even have to think that the Smile movie is real, but the movies. Oh, Smile 2. Smile 2 is actually a top, maybe like top 15 horror movie.
Yeah,
it's
pretty
pretty solid.
Scary.
But Dalton, what's your stance on the existence of ghosts? Yay or nay?
I want to believe that they're real.
You gotta talk in the mic, fam.
My bad. I want to believe they're real so bad, but I have not ever had a ghost experience, so I do not think they're real until I have a ghost experience.
Yeah, I understand that. Oh my gosh, my headphones were turned way down. That was giving me such a weird perspective on our voices. I was like, we all sound weird. Okay, that sounds a lot better. So, I definitely believe in ghosts. I don't know. My family has always had a lot of ghost stories personally. I personally have a ghost story, but that is for the end of the episode. We'll go into that.
Okay.
But, so yeah, I mean, I personally believe that people can have like I don't know if I believe that people have necessarily unfinished business, but I definitely think that there's sometimes like people lingering, and there's also, I don't know how much I believe in the validity of this, but this is something I've heard of that kind of ties into all of this is time slips. I don't know if y'all have heard of that. They're considered kind of an anomaly. Is what I would consider them labeled under, you know. So essentially what this anomaly is that anywhere above limestone, there's a certain quality of limestone. So it said over limestone or other materials that possess that certain quality, it's like there's a shift in the gravitational pull in the timeline, because if you travel at a certain speed, you could technically go back in time. And you could technically go forward in time too, just because when you're traveling through light years like that, it's a lot to explain in a podcast right now. But there is like, and the weight that the Earth puts in space causes like a ripple in a timeline, if that makes sense. It's a bunch of sciencey stuff, but there is a belief that if you go over this certain type of material, limestone or etc., that there's a shift in the magnetic pole of where you're at, and it will like you'll be in a different time.
Well, who's been able to go that fast You know what I mean? Like
It's not in like
Superman.
on
Superman.
Earth. It's not a matter of speed. It's a matter of there's a difference in the magnetic pole where you are, which causes like a difference in where you're at in the ripple that Earth causes.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But traveling through like space, you could essentially time travel based off like how fast you can travel through light years. It's all really interesting theories. I'm a deep science person. I think science is pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
but I've heard a lot of theories on that one, and I kind of think that ties into it.
Okay.
But I'm always in the deep corners of the internet. I'm bored. I get bored a lot.
So what do you think grants someone? You think some people have like unfinished business? What do you think grants a person to finish the business? You know what I mean?
Like, that's why I was saying I don't know if I necessarily think it's if people stay that have unfinished business. I think if they're in a state of unrest.
Yeah.
Like if their soul just can't rest at the end of their life. So not necessarily like some people could be like, man, I got unfinished business, but I'm kind of chill about it and then just go peacefully. But the people who are more resentful about something in their life or they have a restless soul, I think it would be more likely to stay.
Okay.
And kind of be trapped in that.
All right,
there's a name for it, but for lack of a better word right now, I'm going to call it the ether. Is what some people call it. Is that like world between worlds?
That sounds right.
I don't know. Ender portal.
Ender portal.
Minecraft.
The nether.
Nice.
They're just stuck in the nether. But you looked like you had a comment over there.
Yeah, you did.
It was like a little bit out of pocket. I think I'll keep.
No. This is we're a college podcast. We can get a little bit out of pocket sometimes.
All right, so you're saying people with unfinished business, right? Like if you're in like a state of unrest, right?
Indeed.
I don't know why. Y'all think Hitler's ghost is flying around in the ether?
Oh,
'Cause
definitely.
He thinks he has unfinished business.
Hitler's
to do?
definitely mad.
I don't know why that made me think of that.
No, I would actually agree with that statement.
But what?
Same thing with maybe Genghis
What
Khan.
could people even do in that realm? Like what could even?
That's
float?
exactly it. It's like they're stuck in purgatory. Like their soul is restless, and especially the people who like did, again, arbitrarily but like morally bad things. I feel like they're more likely to be stuck there and have less likelihood of being able to get out because they did such a bad thing.
You don't think their soul just gets destroyed because they were so bad? Like,
I don't really think
why would they be able to roam freely after they did so?
It's not
bad
necessarily
things?
roaming free because the terms is like stuck in purgatory because it is not a dandy nifty place to be.
Yeah.
But purgatory isn't necessarily the world between worlds. Purgatory is more of like also a world between worlds, but like for / negative people.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that someone can own their own soul?
No, because that would imply that I mean,
like what?
Some people do believe that they could sell your soul.
What judges if someone? What is the measurement of like, oh, you get to stay in a spiritual realm on Earth? You know what I mean?
It's in my opinion, it's not a get to. It's you're just there now until you move on to the next stage of acceptance or whatever. But in my opinion, it's not a get to. It's not like you're picking to be there.
So where do you think like the I don't know, Martin Luther King? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where do you think his soul is?
And that, I mean, like, you know, I feel like in that sort of case, it's not like he would be roaming around in my it's that's kind of saying like would oh my god, which Kennedy
the president,
the one that died.
Yes, because I mean they both
John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, they both got assassinated.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You didn't remember how Martin Luther King died?
Yeah.
No, I thought you were talking about like Kennedy's son.
Oh no.
Did he die? Did he get assassinated?
No. He's chill. The current Kennedy with the brain worm, he's alive.
He's got a brain. That doesn't sound chill.
I mean, You know,
Yeah, that was such. Yeah,
I mean, he seems
That's
chill.
funny.
He's promoting the healthy America right now. He's
Yeah.
all about the make America healthy again.
yeah,
Yet he's got a
Maha.
brain worm.
Yes.
Very
It tells
healthy.
him how to make the
yeah.
world
It's
healthy.
his. He's his
Oh,
friend.
okay.
It's his
That's
advisor.
That's actually
yes,
kinda
I was
chill.
gonna say it's like his royal advisor.
His mentor.
Y'all know the worm in Adventure Time, the one that's like, "What's the word? What's the
I
haps?"
forgot about that.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I envision when anybody talks about that.
Okay. So back to the conversation, because this is interesting.
Anyway, off topic, but yeah.
So if a ghost and a spirit are the same, and bad spirit or bad people are able to not roam freely, but they're stuck here on Earth as spirits, and the good, what were you saying? The good ones, like where
well,
they go?
okay. So they're not, in my bit, like bad people aren't stuck here on Earth. They're stuck in purgatory, which is technically like a world between worlds, is what some people call it.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't even know how to explain that, but I mean, like, obviously, like a lot of people believe that just ultimately bad people go to hell, and that's just a belief that most
Yeah.
people carry, and that good people just go to heaven. But I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, it's just more of like a restless soul thing.
But it's
But
like
it's-
what gets to the side.
It's to a degree, because I mean, I would, back to Dalton's point, like I feel like
Yeah.
Hitler would be a restless soul, but I don't feel like he would be one of the ones. But I mean, I don't know.
But like, what is the deciding factor if someone was a good person or a bad person? Like, we can't decide that ourselves.
That's actually what I
right?
was just having a conversation about with someone the other day. Is
Yeah.
that like morality and everything like that is so arbitrary.
Yeah, like depending on where you're from.
Exactly. Like, and you could be from two entirely different countries, and then like marriage customs are entirely
Yeah,
different.
that's true.
Or like the way you are in restaurants, like in some countries it's entirely different. So what you think you're being
Yeah.
polite in somewhere else, you're being very rude somewhere
Yeah,
else.
that's true.
Like sticking your like in America, you can like sharing food is pretty common and doing all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And usually you just like stick your hand, fork, knife, whatever into other people's dishes. But if you did that in like more of a East Asian country like Japan or Taiwan, that's really offensive. So it's like morality and all those kinds of like rules are so arbitrary.
But bottom line, like the like rules where it's like murder, I think we can all agree.
Oh, yeah.
Every like
There's, well, I mean, like, that comes down to, like, cardinal sins, almost, which
Yeah.
are, like, and I mean, even if you go across the planet, if you look in the religions that are in every region,
mhm,
you'll find a set of, like, baseline religious rules
mhm.
and, like, the 10 cardinal sins that are pretty universal.
Yeah.
Like, do not kill, that kind of stuff, you know?
Lying, stealing,
Mhm.
killing.
Which are pretty universal. So like when it comes down to that sort of thing, I feel like it is a bit more like universally easy to follow. But if someone was like, I don't know, something that's a little bit more arbitrarily wrong, then then they're more likely
Yeah.
to just be that restless soul.
Yeah.
If it's more like the arbitrarily wrong, then
Yeah.
they're more likely to be restless. But if it was like one of the ones that's globally deemed like a cardinal sin wrong, then they're more likely gonna be going through a little more.
Wouldn't that mean that since we created these morals as humans, we're the deciding factor if a soul gets to stay on Earth or gets to be restless? Or
I mean,
because
if you think about it like that, if you think about it also following religion, thinking about it that it follows the cardinal sins, then you're also continuing the thought that you don't believe humans created those rules.
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't. But I'm not like, this isn't a religious podcast,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's why I'm
So,
speaking entirely
yeah.
like hypothetical neutral. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I have any stance. I'm gonna like I'm trying my best to
Like,
keep
it's
completely neutral.
definitely like you can pick your stance. Like for me, like I'll say right now, like I believe in a God, I believe in heaven
Yeah.
and hell.
As
and-
host, I remain neutral.
And that's why, like, when it comes to the spirits thing, that's why it makes more sense to me if there's a deciding factor who gets to judge whether, that was a good person, that was a
Exactly.
bad person.
That's why it's like when I
Yeah.
say following religion and the cardinal sins that are universal
Yeah.
across the globe, that's why it's more like decided by
Yeah.
someone who is not just chilling on the planet with us.
Do you think spirits, though, like, because in the movies, the spirits are always like,
angry
called?
until
Like,
they're
angry,
appeased. Yeah, and then they're like, they get what they want. They're like, I
But what
move
if they
on.
never get what they want?
Then they stay. That's that world between worlds.
Can a spirit really be angry for that long? You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's crazy.
There's actually on
That's
our
no way to
game that's
live.
coming up. I mean, on our game that's coming up, there's a really famous one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or actually, I'm gonna say the name, and if y'all remember the answer to which one it goes to, then y'all get the free answer. But La Llorona is a very, very popular instance of that.
People will be upset if you say that name. Like,
yeah,
incredible.
well, like, I mean, I even don't say that, like, because I am. This is. I'm gonna call it tying in with ghosts, because it does, like, people believe that. Oh my god. I hate saying it, but people believe that Wendigos are just like people that were cannibals in real life, and they once they tasted human flesh, they turned into that creature. Is a very popular belief for how those creatures came about, and you will never catch me saying that outside of this one time in the podcast. You'll never catch me saying that. You'll never catch me whistling.
What are they called
in
again?
the woods?
Or like no, like.
No,
okay.
like just rewatch the podcast. Just
no, what they're called, but what are they? If you can't say the name, like what are they?
They're technically, I would technically consider them a demonic spirit. It's like if like someone becomes possessed because they become this otherworldly creature, you know, like hellbent almost on taking other humans with them.
Yeah.
Because like once they get that taste, again, this is all like myths of my family lineage, but they just like have to lure human, and it said that they mimic family members' voices, but if it like the top sound you'll hear is your family member's voice, but if you listen a little closer, like underneath that, you'll almost hear like a distorted version of their voice underneath it. Is again what is said to happen, and is why it's said not to whistle in the mountains after dark. But same thing goes for like Native American beliefs with
long hair.
No. Skinwalkers.
I was gonna say
again,
goat man.
hate saying that, but
Never heard that.
They believe that like it's these creatures that look like humans that aren't, and they can turn into like any animal, and they're like they try to get humans. I don't remember the purpose. I don't remember the why for them. But
they're just describing the white man before they saw one, and he's in a carriage.
Well, it said that they can like they see people shift
like
from
twins.
an animal. That's why they like.
Wait, he looks just like me.
Or more like Midwestern, following the same thing as the knot deer. Following the same thing that people believe with skinwalkers is like they'll see a deer just roaming around and then stand up on all four legs and then like chase him.
Oh, yeah, I've heard those stories.
Yeah, but all of those kind of follow those same principles that you believe that there is something. But yeah. Anyway, a lot of that ties into some of the questions on our game, which it is now time for. It is indeed now time to play. It's time to play the game. We really need that as a hotkey.
We need a button that does that.
We need a clip of that. Or actually, I wish we could program our little buttons.
We can.
And like, we can?
These?
No, the little ones we got.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a way, but you'd have to be way smarter with technology than I am.
Should we grab those buttons for this game or not?
It sounds like you want one.
Yeah. But if we don't need it, we don't need it.
I mean, we don't need it. And then the only thing is, with the audio, it might get kind of weird. I don't know.
Boing, it's scary, and all I hear is boing.
Okay, so our game today is centered entirely around ghost experiences, like real life, what people say happens with ghosts, real life inspirations for ghost movies, like horror movies and that sort of thing. Also, you know, a couple that center around Texas. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Did you draw like the McDonald's that's over off Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Even drew Montana's right by.
Yeah, you drew the Montanas. Oh my god. Hold up. I need a picture of that. What? I'm so hungry.
Oh, you need to go Montana's.
Homeboy's drawing his cravings right now.
Apparently Montana's got a drive. What's it? That's a sign. It's the happy hour sign.
Was it?
He drew the happy hour
Montana
my god. Sign.
No, that's a little.
I've never actually been in there. I just put what I remember on the page.
That's crazy. I definitely need a picture of
Yeah,
that.
that's
Low-key
nice.
gonna slide that over, make you take a picture of that because I need to show my roommate that. We're frequents at that McDonald's. That's so
Gotta
dope.
use the app.
So,
Gotta
Oh,
use
we
the
do.
app.
Trust, get the points.
Yeah.
But okay, so the game is all over based off real life hauntings, fake hauntings, i.e., movie hauntings, and other things like that. So hopefully you have some base. Oh my gosh, some base horror movie knowledge coming into
I have
this.
some basic horror movie knowledge.
I tried to go with really surface level horror movies and things I feel like y'all would be able to guess.
Candyman.
But I feel like y'all are equally prepared for this.
we'll
So
see.
y'all are either gonna equally crush it or equally not crush it. All right, y'all ready for the first question?
Yes.
What was the real life name of the hotel that inspired the hotel in The Shining?
Best in.
It's a good old Hamilton.
A Hamilton. I've never even heard of a Hamilton.
Forkfoot.
What? Are y'all for real? Okay.
No, I don't know what it's called.
No
Hold the
real guesses?
Forkfoot.
Oh.
Forkfoot.
I love it. So those are not correct.
Yeah,
It is the
I don't know.
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
Stanley Hotel. Where's my
Stan Lee?
My brother
Stanley,
would've got that
correct.
one.
Oh, got that Stan Lee, like Spider-Man Stan Lee.
No, where's our
Stan-
little
Rest in peace to
countdown?
goat.
Where's
For
the
real.
countdown?
I remember exactly where I was. I could put it on a map.
Yeah, I got that one wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Coming up.
Okay.
Drum roll. I can
Okay.
rock with that.
Yes,
Okay.
the drum roll.
Okay.
I would turn the
so-
drum roll down a little bit.
Hmm?
I'll turn the drum roll down a little bit on the
Oh yeah.
hotkeys down.
On
a
this
little
one?
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So right there. Okay. So this one I feel like y'all might be able to get. Think about like who should. I'll give you all a hint. Think
Okay.
voodoo.
Voodoo. Okay.
Okay. For the next question, that's your hint.
Chucky.
And I'll actually make this one a 2-pointer because I'm the host and I can do what I want.
Okay.
Which or what is the most haunted city in America?
I don't know. Haunted city in America. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know if this is
And then
right.
you can just say yours so you don't have to erase your drawing.
I already erased it.
Oh no.
Okay.
Make
What?
another like restaurant and just write your answers in the sign.
I'd have to be hungry enough.
Okay,
I'm
ready?
just writing down a random city
Mhm.
just because I have no idea. Arlington, Texas.
This guy.
Arlington. Salem, that's actually
what a good
such
guess.
a
What the
good
heck?
guess. I would have said witchcraft if I wanted to give you a hint for that.
Yeah.
The answer that was actually a really good
That's the
guess.
only one I had.
It's actually New Orleans.
Why is New Orleans?
Really?
Crawfish be like coming to life?
Really, like evil crawfish.
People were really unkind to the slaves they owned there.
Inclined?
Unkind.
Oh. So the
There
slaves
is
have unfinished
actually-
business.
Okay, side story. I almost put this
So
as
the slaves have unfinished business.
Oh,
Oh
I guess
yeah,
so.
oh yeah. There, I almost put a question about this woman on the thing, but I knew y'all wouldn't be able to get it. Her name was Madame LaLaurie, and she was an infamous. She was quite wealthy at the time. Had high stature in the society, and owned several slaves and several like younger ones too, and was known to like chain them to whatever station they were like supposed to be working at. But worse, she would perform, mind you, 0 license doing this, crazy medical experiments on a lot of them.
What?
Yes.
They had
They're-
to fight back.
Well,
She drugged them.
I don't know actually, but I did know that she gave like quite a few lobotomies. Like just she was
Oh, that-
practicing.
That just
What's a
sucks.
lobotomy?
She would also do the ones where like drilled hole through the skull
No,
style lobotomy, but a regular lobotomy is actually where, mind you, the first dude that did this took like an actual just ice pick from his kitchen and a hammer. He was freestyling, but
know in
you
a-
take an ice pick and it goes up your nasal canal, and it's supposed to tap the your prefrontal cortex and your hippocampus.
Oh, so she definitely killed people by accident.
Oh yeah.
For
Well, I
sure.
mean, like accident-ish. But the first dude that was doing it, he was like, yeah, women that are in hysteria or people that are like crazy and restless, if you just tap them in the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, they'll chill. And like, they just were paralyzed and like a little after. So, they were chill. But like one of the most famous examples of a really like awry lobotomy was Rosemary Kennedy,
Okay.
which was the I cannot remember his name, but the President Kennedy's sister. She like as a young child they did it to her. I don't remember how old. Or no, I think actually in her late 20s they did it to her, but she's stunted to the mental capacity of a 3-year-old now. She's been that way for 40 years. Almost pretty much essentially. Like she has very low vocabulary knowledge. Like it's crazy. So yeah, Madame LaLaurie up in New Orleans was doing that, and there's a lot of crazy stories in New Orleans. But moving on.
New Orleans.
I was gonna say, that one dude from Rango that got the arrow.
I don't know what Rango is.
You never watched Rango?
The one with Johnny Depp and
Oh,
Beans?
you're talking about the green
lizard. The lizard movie. Not Django. Rango.
Yeah, Rango.
Yeah.
Very common mix-up, actually. But, okay, this one, if you have a little bit of ship knowledge, this may come in handy.
Oh.
But what is the ghost ship found with its crew mysteriously missing?
Flying Dutchman.
I was gonna say.
Keep that answer in mind, fellers. Keep that answer in mind. But that is not the answer to this one.
I thought that was just SpongeBob.
No, that is like
that's
a real
thing.
no, that's a real
for
myth.
real?
Yeah.
The Flying Dutchman and Davy Jones' Locker are all real myths. That's why it's outside of SpongeBob. Like if you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, then that.
Oh, true. He's like
Missing
kind of
the flying
story.
ship in the sky?
No. Well, I mean, that's the Flying Dutchman, but
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not the answer to this one. This one is a real ship that was found, and like its crew was just gone.
Well, because they did.
Well, the ship was still like found full chill. Like nothing looked like it
really?
happened to the ship.
Oh.
That's why they're like, where the crew at? I believe it passed through the Bermuda Triangle, or by it maybe, but that could be wrong. I could be thinking of a different ship. But do y'all have
Was it named after it was found or before?
before? Definitely before.
Okay.
I
I was just gonna write down ghost ship.
It's named. It's the Queen something. I'll give y'all a hint for that. It's the Queen
My
something.
Queen bee, baby.
If that rings any bells. It's a short name.
Queen Latifah.
The Queen Cruise.
The Queen Mary.
Oh.
Now I know who's drawing those little people around the station.
Mm-hmm.
The little Pikmins, right?
Pikmins, yeah.
Isn't that what they are?
Isn't
Yeah.
the Switch?
Yeah.
Is the Switch game good?
Hmm?
The Switch game, the Switch Pikmin game.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay, this one, it's really anybody's guess. But what president is spooking up the White House, allegedly? What presidential ghost is said to be lingering?
George Washington.
Write it down.
Oh,
But no, don't put that. Your hint. Both of y'all's hints. Don't put George Washington.
I think this dude might have died on the toilet.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now, not how Homeboy died. So, if that's your answer, maybe change it real quick.
I got it.
You have the time. There's a drum roll to change your answer.
I think I'm wrong anyway about the.
Well, change
toilet.
it,
No,
'cause he
about
didn't
the
die
toilet
on the
thing. About the toilet.
Okay.
I think that was a
No,
different dude.
this guy died very, very, very infamously.
He drank too much chocolate milk. Was it that guy?
No, but he died very like his death was very well known and people were mad about it.
Oh,
And I don't know if well, I can't say anymore. But death was very well known. So, I'll give y'all 5 more seconds.
Who was that goat? Can't remember.
Dang. It was not, in
dang,
fact,
we put
Jonathan.
JFK.
It was Abraham Lincoln.
Actually, that was my first guess.
I was
I
gonna
put,
put that.
Yeah. It's,
oh, he got shot in the theater.
Yes, he did in the Ford
Oh.
Theater.
Yeah, I forgot
Okay.
about that.
Built tough, Ford tough.
Ford tough.
Yeah, built tough. Yeah.
Okay. This one's a little bit of history knowledge too, but what Civil War battlefield is a hotspot for paranormal activities? Ooh.
I don't know history.
Which Civil War battlefield had the most deaths? Like, what, when you think Civil War, what battle is infamously known and referred to as the bloodiest battle in America?
I should know this.
Y'all
I
should
remember
know
like
this.
reading that in school, but I don't remember what it's
There is
called.
also an address named after
I
this.
know this one.
Dude, what dress name? Like address? Like address?
Mm-hmm.
Named? I don't get it.
The blank address is also the blank war. Or the Battle of blank, I should say. It was called the Battle of blank.
It was on a river, right?
Oh, I think I know.
I don't think so.
I'm thinking
I
of a
thought it was
different
in
battle,
a-
but I got the right name.
But maybe it was. I thought it was in the middle of this field, but I don't remember it being by a river.
We can
Could've been
spell it
though.
wrong.
I mean, yeah, but I
Alright.
doubt you'll spell it wrong. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dang,
ready?
They got it wrong.
Gettysburg?
Yes,
That's what I put.
you did spell it right.
Yeah.
It was indeed. Oh my god. Okay.
Dang, Gettysburg.
Neither of you got New Orleans. Neither of you got the Queen Mary.
Dang, we're
neither of you
tied,
got-
bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Was that a million points or like one?
The first point either of
I'm
y'all
surprised I
got.
got that one.
I was like, oh my god, I've been slacking on giving y'all points, and then I was like, oh wait.
They didn't got it.
Anyway, okay, next question. Which famous prison located in the San Francisco Bay is known for its famous ghost sightings? Also said to be inescapable.
Oh, I should know this.
You should.
Just think of like the
Hold
best
on.
prison in the world.
Yeah, I know.
Pretty easy.
Very famous name. It's not even called like
I
the
know
blank
this one,
prison. It's
though.
just referred to as its name.
They got that one
It's
in
on an
Harry
island.
Potter.
It's an island,
Correct.
but it's not too far from the shore.
It is not, but
You
it
probably
is said
said-
to
I know
have
what it is.
shark-infested waters.
I know what it is, but I don't know the name, unfortunately.
No, you got. If I give you, I'll give you a hint. It ends with a Z.
Nah, they got it in Spider-Man.
I didn't watch part of it.
Ends with a Z.
Oh,
I was just lying too.
I know you were gaslighting. homie.
Spider-Man. they
Okay,
call it
ready?
a raft.
Yay!
Alcatraz.
It is indeed Alcatraz. I was about to say the Battle of Gettysburg again. Okay.
This is a close one.
Alcatraz.
Coming up next, getting more into the
Alcatraz.
okay.
Oh.
Well, these are real people. Who are the famous demonologists
The Flying
that
Dutchman.
are in the Conjuring series?
Oh, it's a good one.
They say their names so many times in the
know.
movies.
I think one's name is Jesse.
And they're real. No.
I don't know. Dorothy or something like
No.
James.
No.
Dustin.
No.
Conor McGregor.
The dude's name is real short. Real short.
Pip.
Woman's name, kind of longer.
Blip.
Alright, I got it.
Do you
Jim.
actually?
Tim.
Mhm.
Okay, come on. Write a little something. It's not Tim though, so don't put Tim. Shorter than Tim, actually. Two letter name. We need the Jeopardy music also as a hotkey.
Yeah. Bye.
Oh wow! So
Travis
you in
Paul.
fact did not have
I
it.
did not have it.
He said
So
Travis
it's
Paul.
Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I promise it is. As someone who
No,
is
it like genuinely does
but
sound
like in
familiar.
real life, they sucked. The movie versions of themselves are so much better. They sucked as real people.
Dang.
Okay, what is the name of the ghostly ship that allegedly sails the seas forever?
The Flying Dutchman.
Good job,
Is it?
gentlemen. Good job. Good job.
A million points.
A million. I'm actually out of
I
pity.
like the Flying
Y'all are
Dutchman.
gonna get 2 points for getting the Flying
Nice.
Dutchman.
I really like the Flying Dutchman. I'm gonna do that. I don't know what
All
it
right.
means, but I'm gonna do
This one's kind of a silly question. This one's also this one's you may believe in it, you may not, but it's a question
the
nonetheless.
Flying Dutchman.
What is the name of the figure said to be seen when people take a lot of antihistamines, a lot of Benadryls?
Oh, I know this guy.
You meet him a couple times.
You met him?
Mhm.
Yeah, I believe that.
Oh,
I feel like you and Dylan were just like, yo, let's eat a ton of McChickens and then go meet homie. We'll bring him a McChicken.
He wasn't hungry.
oh.
He wasn't hungry. Dang, I feel like maybe it's because he wanted a nice dinner date. Maybe he's not a lunch guy. Yay! D. Okay,
D.
perfect. D, please grab a board and a
Ds.
marker. Everybody,
D.
please welcome D to the show.
Welcome, D.
Yay! We also need a clapping sound effect. We need so many more
We
sound
need like
effects.
everything.
I know. Okay, D. I will also give the question to you. Oh, let me turn you up and actually give you audio here. Ooh. Okay, so while you set up, I'll let you ponder on the question. The question is, oh my goodness. What is the name of the figure said to be seen when people take a lot of antihistamines?
Satan.
Take a lot of Benadryls.
Might be on something.
They're said to see this feller.
Interesting.
The devil.
Flying Dutchman.
You stay away from her. She's the devil.
I'm just gonna pick a random thing. Wait, okay, what's the question again?
What figure is said to be seen when people take a lot of antihistamines?
Bobby Boucher.
Or they take a lot of Benadryls. They're said to see this figure.
Football is the devil.
Foosball is
That's
the
what.
devil.
Yeah, foosball.
Oh, is that a
don't
reference
know.
I'm not getting?
Yeah.
Yes. It's from Waterboy.
Yeah, foosball is the devil.
Foosball is
My
the
mama,
devil.
my mama said. My mama said.
I'm gonna give D 1 point because she got in so late. I gotta give her a
I love that movie. It's funny.
How he sounds when he runs into people.
Okay, is everybody ready?
Yes.
Batman?
It is indeed the Hat Man.
I thought it was Grim, the
Yippee.
Grim. Who's the Hat Man?
Who's the Hat Man?
You honestly haven't seen him there.
Who
You,
is
you
that?
gotta meet him. Honestly, you do not want to meet homie. Meeting homie is not the ideal experience.
The Candy Man.
It's said to be almost like a sleep paralysis demon type entity, is what people call it. But a lot of people say that they like see it whenever they take a lot of antihistamines. So it's kind of like one of those.
That's him.
I don't want to talk.
They're
This is a hat man.
almost like a case of mass
Ew.
hysteria, is what
Yeah.
I would refer to it as. Is what a lot of people would call that. So, moving on. What is the haunted doll that was the inspiration for Chucky?
Ooh.
If give you a hint, it is not Annabelle. 'Cause
Ah.
Dang it.
Annabelle
I was like,
was actually not a real doll either. She was also inspired by this doll. He's got a
I'm
funky.
glad I don't
He
know it.
wore a little sailor costume. It's a guy's name. It's got
Starting
a
letter?
nickname. The starting letter is R. I'll give you all that. The starting letter is R. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 letters. It does have a nickname. The nickname is not like just straight ripped out of the name. It's like a variation of the name.
Okay.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Dude named Robbie?
Robert?
It is Robert.
Oh,
It's Robert!
dang.
Let's
Put-
go.
dang.
Almost had it.
It is Robert the doll.
Put Ricky.
Half point for Robbie?
Nah.
Actually, you're crushing it. You're at 5.
I'm at 5?
You are.
Guys, I can't believe I guessed that.
I'm on. Honestly, that
Catching
was
up
pretty
already.
killer. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give her 2 points for that because that was pretty crazy
Nah,
sauce.
that's messed up.
I gave you all 2 points for the Flying Dutchman.
Oh yeah.
True.
Okay.
The Flying Dutchman.
This next answer is also the title of a show that I personally thought was really, really good.
Friends.
No, I've actually never watched Friends. Fun fact. But this famous
Me neither.
bridge is said to be haunted by a headless horseman. There was a really famous show. Don't do that to the marker. It
Oh,
ruins
it does. Already ruined it then.
it.
Too late.
It damages the felt tip.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Oh, it did that.
Breaking markers. Come on,
This
guys.
is
So
Guys.
say it again.
Disappointing.
This guy what?
Guards.
This famous bridge is said to be haunted by the Headless Horseman. What's the name of the bridge?
Oh, I know.
Can we get a location of the bridge? Is it a real bridge?
Yes, it's real. The bridge is real, but it was like the name of the bridge is also the name of the show.
Oh.
It's 2 words.
Is it a scary show?
I would deem it a scary show, yeah. I mean, if you know this reference at all, I wouldn't deem it like Haunting of Hill House scary. Because Haunting of Hill House was like scary.
Show
The first
or
one
is it a
was
show?
really
You said?
good.
It's a show. You watched The Haunting of Hill House?
The first one, yeah.
Oh my god. Or The Haunting of Bly Manor and The Haunting of Hill House are separate shows.
I might be thinking of something completely different.
Well,
Is that like found footage movie where they like set up a little like haunted house and then it turns evil?
Does it go like? Dun, 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 dun,
are you
dun,
thinking of the Blair Witch Project?
dun,
No. There's like 3 movies. There's like 3 movies where it's like Haunting of Hill House 1, 2, and 3. They set up
Oh, it might be Haunting of Hell. I'm saying Haunting of Hill. Hill.
that makes sense. It's Hill House, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Sorry.
was gonna say the first one was good. The other 2 stunk.
Yeah. But Haunting of Hill House is
Okay,
a pretty
different.
solid horror movie. Okay. Do y'all have the names? Do
Does
y'all
it
have
go
your
like-
guesses?
dun, 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 dun,
I can't remember actually the intro.
dun, dun, dun.
But it was
You're thinking
Pretty good.
of Goosebumps.
Oh.
That's not it.
No, it's not
Okay.
Goosebumps. Goosebumps Bridge.
Goosebumps Bridge.
This is a real bridge, guys. Okay, I'll give Travis a minute to write down his guess. But it's 2 words.
Pass. Pass.
Okay, ready?
I have to pass.
Golden Gate. Aw, I'm really sad. I thought actually this one would
I have
be.
no idea.
I thought this one would be one of the easier ones. I feel so bad. It's Sleepy Hollow.
I know the rapper.
Y'all have never heard of
I've
that?
never heard of that.
Oh my gosh. Do yourselves a favor. Look up the show. Very, very good show. I think it's also a movie, but the show is pretty fantastic. Okay. This is our second to last real life haunted thing question. What is the mansion said to have been built by the wife
Luigi's
of a gun
Mansion.
company
Oh, okay.
to confuse the spirits? This woman, she said she was haunted by the spirits of the company that her husband worked for.
The
I'll give y'all a
company?
hint. It was a gun company. She was
So
haunted.
am I writing down the gun company?
I
or-
mean, technically, the name of the gun company is her last name, so the house and the gun company have the same name.
Is that really like intricately
Write it
built
down.
weird
Yes,
house?
yes. The house that has a door that leads to nowhere, and
The one that like you walk out, you'll plummet.
yes,
I know what house you're talking about. I don't remember what it's called. No,
it's a very, very famous gun company. Also, the last name of Sam and Dean in
got it.
Supernatural. If y'all know.
that didn't help, but I got it.
If y'all know. But yeah, she said she was haunted by the spirits that had been like the lives that had been taken from the guns. It's not.
Did you write down
Oh
Luigi's
my-
Mansion?
Huh?
Did you write down Luigi's Mansion?
Oh, to Rillington.
Luigi's Mansion. That's
I want to
honestly
go to
pretty
this
funny.
house so bad. It looks awesome.
It's pretty cool. I'd like to go to 2 things on this list. I'd like to go to the Stanley Hotel and this house. I'll give you all a hint. It starts with W.
Oh,
I got this.
my marker's dying.
Oh no.
I'd go get another.
Well, here, Travis might be able to actually reach the ones on the ledge right here. There's like 3 sitting there on the little ledge. Yeah. Grab her the red one. Take them all.
Ah! Oh,
Dang. I didn't expect him to actually check them.
Oh, the alarm.
Okay. Ready?
ready.
Let's see the boards.
Winchester.
It is indeed Winchester.
What about the Warner Brothers?
Okay. Last real life.
Close one.
I love that.
This is a
Looney Tunes.
ghost we talked previously about on the episode for a quick minute.
The flying,
The flying
Dutchman.
No, that's not a ghost, guys. But what ghostly woman in white is said to lure mothers, particularly with
How do you spell
children,
that?
to the river.
I got it.
She is known to weep along a river edge.
I have.
This is also originated in Mexico.
Oh, you don't gotta do all that.
I'm trying to help Dee because she
Don't
wasn't
help Dee.
here.
She don't need it.
Well, I mean, you already got.
I
the
give her
answer
4
from when we
markers.
talked.
I have heard the name before, but
This ghost does have a movie in the Conjuring series.
Yeah.
But I'm biased. I love the Conjuring series.
All right, spelling check for me and Travis. If you don't spell it right.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
It's okay. I'm not
I didn't
expecting
get it
perfect
either.
spelling. But I mean, it is pretty straightforward. I mean, there's 2 letters where I feel like there might be one. But all right, are y'all ready? It is La Llorona. La Llorona is one of the inspirations for the Weeping Widow. But I mean, there's several. I mean, like
What was her name again?
several La Llorona.
Oh.
But I mean, like if you pronounce it how you're actually supposed to, it's La Llorona.
Oh.
But-
I didn't hear
Mhm.
anything about the Candyman yet.
El Chupacabra.
I don't know what that is.
The
The goat
legendary
man.
goat sucker. Yeah. Okay, now we're getting into horror movie stuff.
It's about time.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Who is the original killer in the first Friday the Who is the killer in the original Friday the 13th movie?
Friday the
Oh.
3rd. Really?
I get him confused sometimes. Look, you don't make fun of me if I get wrong.
Why'd you put
Oh,
the
okay.
original killer? I
Yeah.
don't know his name. I don't
He's
know-
got like a basic name, doesn't he?
Oh my god, guys, no, that's not the original killer. It's his mom.
Yeah, no one knows that.
Y'all don't know her name?
Oh, they started with his mom. I didn't watch that one. That
Yeah.
one? What?
No, that's a different one. You're thinking of Freddy Krueger.
That's Friday the 13th.
No.
No,
That's
Nightmare on Elm
that's
Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
I like that one.
Do y'all have any guesses? I can't tell if y'all are right over there. Okay, y'all ready?
I'll be amazed if you take this.
It's the mother's name is what I'm looking
I have no
for.
idea. I'm just gonna go with what
Mary.
I
I
got.
found a
Hey, this
loophole.
could. I know several ladies with this name, so
Okay, y'all ready?
Bobby.
Mrs. V.
I mean, their last name is Voorhees,
Mhm.
but her name is
Hey, we got it.
her
Did you write
name
that down
is
too?
Pamela Voorhees.
guess.
We got it.
But his mom was actually the original killer. Like Jason watched his mom murder all the
Damn.
campers.
Really?
Yes.
I guess I need to.
Or
go
all
back.
the camp counselors actually.
I think I'm thinking of the wrong.
That may not
movie.
have actually been the first movie, but technically she is the original killer.
I was thinking of Scream. I wasn't thinking of Friday the 13th.
Oh, keep Scream stuff in mind.
That's the only
That
like
movie
scary
sucks.
like
All right,
movie series
Scream
I've ever
or
watched.
That
Friday
movie
the 13th.
sucks. Scream?
No, the original. I mean, maybe I'm just in love with younger Matthew Lillard, but I don't know.
I don't
I
like
love
scary movies, but Scream is the only one that I've seen like all of them.
Drew Barrymore kills. Okay, y'all ready?
Yes.
Have y'all seen The Shining? If y'all haven't, I'll just skip it.
No. Were we at on time?
We're good. I'm watching it. But you haven't? Have you?
Seen
So with the
it once.
hotel?
Yeah.
I haven't
It's
seen
okay.
it.
So,
Wait, is that where they're like rad rum?
Yes.
Rad rum.
Yes. okay. So, in the Scream movie, what's the name of the killer's costume? Like not their real names, but in the costume, what are they referred to as? It's also the name of the type of mask. Like if you look up blank mask, the same name as the costume.
Purple poo.
Yeah, Purple Poo do in fact wear it.
I don't know how to spell go.
It's okay.
You wouldn't need to because that's not the name, but
Is it?
no, it's not.
Oh, obviously it's not.
You know something we don't.
You think you're so
Okay,
tricky.
ready?
Travis.
Yay! Points for everybody.
Dang it.
Travis
the
just
ghost
tried
face
to be a little
mask.
sneaky.
Tried and failed. Okay.
Yeah, because he sold me out.
This one's pretty easy. I feel like pretty general. What is the name of the movie that features the deadly videotape that kills viewers in 7 days after they watch it?
Yes, I know this one.
Also, the girl crawls out the TV.
Which? The girl's name or the
movie name? The movie name. The movie is named after what? Like, well, I mean, technically it is named after what kills the little girl.
Oh, okay. Okay. There's another movie that's similar to that one. That's why.
It's the shape of what kills the little girl.
Oh, okay.
Because it shows up on the TV, but you can't really tell what it is. You don't realize what it is until you realize what kills the little girl. So anyway, yeah. Y'all ready?
I know it, but I don't.
I have no idea.
Point to Travis.
So,
it's The Ring.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
I thought she like fell in a well or something.
She did. That's her crawling out of the well. Like, that's why you see the ring on the TV, and it's her crawling out of the well. That's why I was like, it's the shape of what kills her.
I guess.
I feel like I didn't mean to confuse.
That was a good one.
Okay.
I was thinking like the cylinder. I was like, that doesn't sound too scary.
The cylinder. I didn't. I should have said the top POV of what.
Turn your mic down a little bit.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I got a little close. Close to the mic. But okay, what horror movie starts with the line, or not starts with the line, but has the tagline, "Do you want to play a game?"
Oh, it's a.
It's got like 10 movies in its series.
Oh. Yeah.
It's got that Billy the
Oh
Puppet.
yeah.
I think it's like that character's
I
actual
don't
name.
know what it's called, but I know what movie.
These are good movies.
It's a 3-letter word. It's also.
No,
I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, but it is
That's
a
it.
3-letter word.
The little word.
Very famous for its traps.
Pop.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Jump. 4-letter word. Gotcha. Tall.
Okay, you have the answer, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you? Okay.
No, you don't.
Do you have anything?
I covered all my.
I'll give you
bases,
an
too.
extra 5 seconds.
You don't know.
Ready?
I put Saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It is indeed the
Jigsaw.
Saw movies.
Oh.
The game
I
was
have
fun,
only
too.
seen, I think,
What happened?
The game
the
was
4th
fun.
one.
They had a game.
Okay, next. This one's an older horror movie. Actually, the next 3 are about older horror movies, so if y'all don't know it, just tell me to skip. But what is the name of the possessed girl in The Exorcist? Pretty average schmaverage girl name, especially in the South. I've met a lot of these.
The Fly.
I actually do know, personally, 2 The Flying Dutchmans.
What?
Yeah, their first name is The, and then their middle name is Flying, and then their last name is
Uh-oh.
Dutchman. 2 of them.
I don't know if I spelled this, but we're gonna give it a.
I mean, I would say that there's multiple spellings, but... All right, y'all ready? So the answer was Reagan.
Oh,
Okay,
I would've
coming
never
up
got
next.
that.
dang it!
What 1999 horror movie was shot to look like found footage in the woods? This was actually one of the first movies of its kind, and the director and the creator like promoted it like it was real, like this was a real thing that happened to the people that were in it. They did not promote it that it was fake.
Yeah. The Slender Man. Nah, it's funny.
Didn't this movie kind of bomb?
It when it came out, yes, but then like people started recreating the found footage style, and it got super popular.
Yeah.
But when it first came out, people were like, "Oh my god, like why wouldn't you put this out?" Because they didn't like, because he promoted it like it was real, so people were kind of like offended almost.
Yeah.
It's the something
Yeah.
something project. 2 words.
The Flying Dutch.
Oh my god. Do y'all need more time?
Oh.
Okay, well, you have it. Think. The scary ones. Honestly, I mean, yes, it was scary and it was in the woods, but it is indeed the Blair Witch Project. Okay, I'm gonna skip the next one because I feel like y'all might not know that one too. Oh, what horror movie involves a girl repeating the day she died until she solves her murder?
That's a newer movie. I forgot what the name's called.
It is fairly new. If y'all don't know it, just tell me to skip.
Is it not?
I forgot it. You might know it.
Here, I'll let y'all
Like
write.
her?
Oh, that is not.
Oh, kinda.
The 13th.
Yeah, there you go.
No,
Happy Death Day.
it's Happy
Oh.
Death Day, actually. Good one. Okay, what is the rules for Gremlins after midnight?
Forgot.
Oh,
They die.
Nah, you wish. You honestly wish when dealing with the Gremlins.
Oh.
They get ugly.
Don't feed him.
Yes. Double points for D because she listed out every rule.
What do you say?
no food, no water, and don't let them out of the cage.
Why?
Correct.
Because they'll tear the town apart.
True.
I haven't seen the Gremlins.
Yeah.
I figured D would actually get that one. I was like, I feel like D might get this one. Okay. What Jordan Peele movie features a family stalked by their doppelgangers?
That movie is so good.
The doppelgangers are referred to as the tethered.
Never heard of that, but it sounds like a good movie.
It's a really good movie.
I used to watch The Purge.
Kind of confusing when I first watched it, but I was pretty young when it came out.
Doppelganger.
Yeah. It's a 2-letter word. Just one word.
Oh.
All right.
blank.
Blank. You don't have anything either, Travis?
Mm-mm.
It is
Us?
indeed us.
Nice.
That's such a
Okay.
good movie.
Last couple ones we have here. What is the assumed main villain of the Final Destination series? It's not a person. It's like, I mean, some people view it as a person, but it's more of a thing. It's just one word.
I don't know.
It is death, guys. Actually, good one. Okay. What Stephen
Yeah,
King?
D.
What Stephen King short story was adapted into a horror movie earlier this year?
Yeah.
I don't.
This year?
This year. Just came out this year.
No,
If y'all don't know, I'll skip. Because we only have one more after
I
that.
don't know. I was gonna say it, but that's not this year.
It's not it.
What scary movies came out? Is
Elmo.
it not?
Oh, wait.
Alright,
No,
rest
that
of
was
it?
last year.
Y'all don't know? Do you have anything?
The monkey?
It is the monkey!
Oh, it was the monkey.
Okay, last one, guys. A little Texas one before our last question.
Oh, I got it.
What is the most haunted city in Texas?
Oh no, I don't. I was put Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
This is also the city that had the worst natural disaster in all of U.S. history.
Dust Bowl.
Wait, in Texas or in the United States?
This is the most haunted place in Texas.
Okay.
I have two answers I'll accept. But the main answer is where the worst natural disaster in the US occurred.
I got it. Oh, not Texas?
Not Texas, no. This was the worst natural disaster in all of the US.
Was it in Texas?
But-
I feel like I would
Yes.
have heard of it.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. This is the most haunted place in Texas where the worst natural disaster in all of US history occurred.
I don't know if I spelled it right.
Worst natural disaster, and I don't remember.
It was a really nasty hurricane. Yeah, actually, that was both the answers.
Okay.
So double points for D because she got both the answers and a point to Travis. Okay, so our winner of our game was
D.
Dalton. It was Dalton with 15 solid
Nice.
points. Each of y'all got even points, but Dalton was our winner with 15 points, and then we had D and Travis tie with 10.
Dang, we suck.
All right, for a little closing question of the day, it's have y'all ever had a ghost experience?
One time the toothpaste moved. That was it. This guy got scared and ran in my room.
Do y'all have y'all ever had a ghost experience?
One time my family and me went camping and I was like walking through the brush to the bathroom and I thought someone was following me, but it was just like me stepping on those sticks and stuff, scaring myself.
Okay, well, Dalton, do you have a scary story?
I wish. I have not. Every time I've been in like a quote unquote haunted place, I'm gonna be like provoking the ghost.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. I want it to happen so bad though. You're looking at me like I'm evil.
I
I want it
actually,
to happen. It doesn't.
I have had a ghost experience. I was home alone in middle school, and this was right after Hurricane Harvey in Houston. And we had a bunch of boxes with packing peanuts everywhere, and my living room shared a wall with my mom's office, and all I heard was like I just heard something shuffling, and I walked into the room, and one of the boxes of packing peanuts was just like on the floor, not where it was, with the packing peanuts everywhere, and I was like, oh nah. So I took a walk. I was not hanging out in there, and I took a walk until my family came home. But that is my most ghostly experience, so to speak. But I hope y'all have enjoyed the ghostly episode today and enjoyed me as the host on this rare special treat. Once again, we have had the lovely Travis, the lovely Dalton, and the lovely Dee as our guest here on Cruisin' the Planet today. You can be sure to catch us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter or X, and YouTube at 100.7 The Planet. KXTR 100.7 The Planet, correct?
Yep.
Nobody wants to answer me?
Yep.
But okay.
Yes.
Well, that's not what our socials are. That's our station handle. But that's where you can find us. Catch us again next week at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We hope y'all have a lovely day and stay weird, weirdos.
Later on in World War II, I was way down in Austria. My field telephone rang. He said, "Why don't you get on the ball down there?" The girl called me from way up in France.
Back to the Alumni Association. I think that the thing that has really impressed me in recent years is the number of chapters that are being formed around the state. And I just look at them and looking at it to the door, what are there, 15 or 20 of them now? 15 chapters, and that's real good. I know that we formed the first one, I guess, in Waco back some time ago, and it was a little difficult because, again, you had a situation where you had a lot of people at that time who had attended or graduated from another college or university and didn't really have all that much allegiance. But as the chapters grew and other people saw that chapters were growing and chapters were being formed, then it became easier. I mean, we formed the cross-timber chapter here in Stephenville, and from that time on, the other executive directors just spread out all over the state. And they've got very active chapters all over Texas now, and I think that's exceptionally good. That is the lifeline of the Alumni Association. You've got to contact those people at the grassroots levels if you really want to get participation in association. That's the call.
Does the university grant academic scholarships nowadays?
Academic scholarships, lots of them, yes. No athletic scholarships. We do have an Alumni Association scholarship fund. Were there scholarships given? Was that ever a project of the Alumni Association through the years that you all know of?
Yes, in fact, I think when we first started, or became an active organization, scholarships were one of our primary goals. I think there wasn't a lot we could do other than that is to encourage people to establish and give the scholarship fund. Right off my head, I think we established the Jerry Clemens Scholarship in drama, which was the end result of his presented his one-man show on Daniels on campus. And the proceeds from that would start the Jerry Clemens Scholarship Fund. When we had George Kennedy back here, he had a cameo appearance in All Night Gold in the Hills or something like that. And I believe that performance raised about $5,000 for drama scholarships. And the association has always been involved in scholarships. We would have people like us, I think. Right before I retired, we had a scholarship established for Mr. Blanchard and Dawson, C.H. Dawson, by their former students. That happened pretty well.
My brother, older brother, Russell Brooks, and I could never come to talking if we didn't have a job. And I recall I was the janitor for Blanchard's machine shop. Russell was the janitor for Dawson's wood shop. That helped put us through school. 25 cents an hour.
Were you overpaid?
No. We were overworked on that. I'll tell you what, when Russ and I got ready to go back home with spring this time of year, we went into the business office and said, let's see how much money we owed. The college paid us about $28. We worked that much more than I expected.
Came out over good. Did you pay income tax on it?
I didn't hear.
Did you pay income tax on that?
No. Here.
Mickey mentioned a while ago this campaign for excellence. I think it'd be good if he might explain a little more in detail what the campaign for excellence was, what it is.
Well, of course, you probably know more than I do about that. But I was the president of the foundation at that time, and the people that were hired to help advise and to actually help raise the money for the institution came to me and they said, of course, we feel like the foundation ought to kick this thing off with about 20% of the drive. And as leader of the foundation, we think that you ought to encourage other members. And there I was working for a salary at the bank, and man, I didn't have any money. You know, in the terms of what that fellow was speaking of, and so I resigned, and Hugh Wolf became president of the foundation, and of course that just suited Hugh to a T, man. He was ready to go, and he evidently gave a big contribution, and the foundation, Development Foundation, gave a big lot of money. But like I mentioned before, the way they organized that, they went to like the Industrial Foundation, not the Industrial, the Development Foundation, and said, we want you to raise so much. And then they would go to different organizations, and within that organization were former students of Tarleton in every group. They went to the faculty, and they said, the faculty has to raise so much money. And then they got down to the association and asked the association to raise so much, and then I think the association went, organized it by classes and had each class raise the money. But there was a lot of overlapping in that, but they got the job done. And Jay, I don't remember just how much money they actually raised, but you were around then, you know.
Well, I think they raised well over $1 million. I forgot what maybe they had a $2 million goal, but according to these professional fundraisers that they bought at that time, you always set your goal high enough to where you had a hard time reaching it. But it was very successful, and they raised $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million over 3 years. Again, back to what you said, the Alumni Association really provided the prospects for giving. I think that had it not been for the Alumni Association and the records that have been maintained over the years, the good rapport and relationship that we had with our students, that the drive would not have been successful. They could not have just started out and said, we're going to raise all this money that we were going to see. Because they had a very viable list of people to go see, and a very good list, and a lot of important people, like you said, people who had money, and they knew people who had money, and corporations and foundations and so forth. But I feel like that the Alumni Association would pretty well take credit for launching the Development Foundation and its initial success.
Yeah, they pick a group like to say we go to Fort Worth. Fort Worth's got to raise so much money, and the only place in Fort Worth to raise money was to come from the Alumni Association members in Fort Worth.
Let me ask you about another topic. What about the magazine, the publication of the Alumni Association? When did that start? I see here that in 1978 was when it first became the Alumni JTAC. But was there any sort of publication, newspaper or newsletter?
Back in the early days, Martin Peter, you probably know this, they sent out a newsletter probably once a year right before homecoming. That's what it evolved from. And again, finances created the problem, or the lack of finances. You just couldn't afford to send out. You start sending
That's
out.
probably done on a memograph.
Probably. And handwritten addresses. But from that evolved the Alumni JTAC, and we published that in a tabloid form for a number of years. And at that time, I think, from what Mickey said, there were, 5,000 or 6,000 people on the mailing list when we inherited it. And I think when we left, we were mailing to about 10,000 or 12,000 people. But we mailed that 4 times a year with things and dues. Just whatever money the ex-students paid as far as dues and donations. so forth. And then I think when Christie took over the office, she changed it to magazine type format. Even starting with that initial newsletter, which was mailed once a year, and evolving through the syntax, the tabloid, and into the magazine, we have always had some correspondence or some relationship with our former students in written form in one form or the other.
Mm-hmm.
That's been very good. That's, at times, that was the only contact we students had with the university.
I think it's helped to create interest in former students too. I think probably a lot more interested in coming back to homecoming because of that magazine. And of course, that letter that went out mainly gave the program for
That's it.
homecoming.
That's it.
As far as news, it didn't gather much news, but it did tell them what was going to happen at homecoming, and that was.
Someone mentioned Coach Wisdom. I'd like to tell a yarn, which we may not be in keeping with this discussion. But in the 30s, Stephenville was visited by a barnstormer, a pilot, with an old Ford tri-motor plane. Landed out here somewhere, and he would take Stephenville people up in the air. Coach Wisdom was out on the golf course with his friend. I can't call his name now, but he had a gentleman's clothing store here. Stephenville, down on the square.
You gone?
Huh?
No, yeah, you got it.
Not it. You
Well,
gone.
anyhow, he and Coach were close friends. They were out playing golf. Our coach told me this story himself. He said that they looked up and saw that plane going over the golf course and back, taking people up. And his friend says, Coach, why don't we go up, take a ride? He said, no, I'll take it. He said, I've got 5 children. As far as I'm concerned, I haven't got any business up in that plane ready to crash in the time. So they didn't go. Coach said that evening for dinner, they were all sitting around the table, the family, he called his wife and said, you know, I feel real proud of myself. How's that? Well, I considered going up in that plane today, but I knew that I shouldn't do it because of the family I have. And she started laughing. He said, what are you laughing about? I said, that was Mrs. So-and-so and myself that was up there. Their wives were taking the flight.
Okay, you all have shared some neat things with us. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
You see anything in this thing?
I'm glad you brought up the Campaign for Excellence. That's something I want to make sure about it.
Mr. Lewis, what about Zig Ziglar?
Did I call it by the right
Zig
name?
Ziglar.
You mean Marvin Ziglar?
Marvin Ziglar.
Marvin Ziglar.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about Marvin.
Let's hear it.
Well, go wash your mouth out.
Now, the association may have helped ban what they used to call the crack company, the ROTC. I believe they call them Wainwright rifles now. But every year we'd go down to the Battle of Flowers parade down at San Antonio. And like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if the association didn't raise the funds for us to make that trip. But that was a real highlight of my attending Carlton was the 2 years I got to go down there. But Marvin Zindler was the drum major for the military band. And we had a man who was Colonel Buck Bender. He wore boots and boot pants like a cavalry officer. He was an army soldier, but he wore, and his hat had those billed hats, and he had to pull down over the ears, kind of like that. But anyway, he was a tough fella. And
James Bender?
Yeah. And so he was head of the ROTC program, and when we got ready to go down to the Battle of Flowers, he told Marvin, he said, now, when you're leading that band, I just want it 1, 2. I want that baton just going like this. He said, I don't want you throwing it up in there and catching it or anything. And but we went on to the parade, and that thing was about halfway down the street, and Sindler couldn't resist it anymore. And he began throwing that baton up, and he threw it over the wires, telephone wires, everything else, and he really put on a show. And I imagine that, I think he wore sergeant stripes before that, but I don't think he did after his own. And Jay was playing in the band. He was behind old Marvin, and but he was some fella.
I was on the discipline committee here with Chief Bender. There's Dean Ferguson and Dean Women, Miss Savage and Morton Brooks and James Bender. 1 or 2 of them, Gabe Lewis, I believe. On one occasion, one cadet had in trouble. He was a corporal. He came in, Bender said, come in, young man, report to the committee, give me your name and your former rank. The kid knew he was former.
We had Marvin up to be a speaker at the distinguished alumni luncheon one time, and Bob Ross was president at that time. Bob called me and said, Jay, what do you think about getting Marvin up here to speak for luncheon? I said, well, I think that'd be a good idea. He said, I'll call him. I called him, and he said, fine. I called Bob back, and I said, Bob, this is really a prestigious affair. I said, I think we need to send your airplane down there after Marvin. And there was a slight pause. Bob said, Jay, it's not that prestigious. He said it cost a little bit to keep that airplane in the air. Well, finally, my brother went down and picked him up in a little old 2-seater. We got him back from luncheon, and at the same time, we were honoring the Houston Livestock Show as a distinguished friend, I called him, and we had the executive director, Marvin, on the program. Well, the year before that, the Livestock Show had decided they didn't need one of these little bands off back there around Houston somewhere, so they cut them out of the parade. Well, Morgan just jumped all over their case, and I'll tell you, he got them back in the parade. But the executive director and Morgan were not on the best of terms.
What does Zingler do now?
He has a radio show in Houston, one of these types that goes out and finds all the cockroaches in the restaurants and all that kind of stuff.
He's the leader of that part of the show, too. He gets on there and
he leads a reckless life, doesn't he?
Well, he said, come, one time he said, Jay, y'all come down and we'll go out to dinner some night. And I said, well, we're not going anywhere where they know you.
You know, he was the one that took after the chicken house at Grange, and he led that battle.
He shut that down.
But when he was at Tarleton, he wore a zoot suit when he was out of uniform and a chain hanging down to his knee. His dad had a clothing store in Houston. Man, he dressed in the latest fashions.
He was a character. He is a character. But it was really interesting. He came and not only did he make the speech at the luncheon, but he twirled at the halftime at the band show. It was quite a sight to see.
And I'd like to say thanks to Jay. He's still a member of the Alumni Association. When we had our big membership bash this spring, Jay wrote him a letter and got him back into the fold of the Alumni Association. So.
What I did, I wrote a note on there. I said, Marvin, you can't take all that with you. Just send some of the guitar.
Is he making money?
Oh, is he making money? He's quite a celebrity.
I think he's on that Eyewitness news.
Eyewitness, he was Marvin's in those Eyewitness.
6 o'clock deal.
If it wasn't for Morgan, we wouldn't have had the best little whorehouse in Texas. Cut that off.
He was talking about sitting on the disciplinary committee with Colonel Bender. Well, I was a captain and a company commander in the ROTC. He told me one day he said, you take your company and do half half the time close order drill, half the time extended order drill. So I sent them out on the field, and I put one platoon doing close order and one platoon doing extended order. And then when the hour was half over, I switched them. And so I felt like I was doing what he told me to. And he called me in after that ROTC drill. He said, I told you to spend half the time doing close order and half the time doing extended order. And I didn't mean for you to divide it into platoons. I wanted the whole company doing close order and the whole company doing extended order. You are now a first lieutenant. So he took one of the little chips off my shoulder. Well, of course, to me, ROTC was it. That's the only reason I went to college, was to get a commission. And I wanted to go on down to A&M and get a contract. And all I absolutely had was a recommendation he'd give me. But he recommended me all right. And I got my contract at A&M, went on and got a commission. But, you know, that's probably something good for me. I didn't think it was justified. But anyway,
Chief Bender, Major Bender, was a rough character. He was truly a rough character. And his wife was pretty rough too, you know. And they called on Dean and Ms. Davis here, made their social call. Well, Dean and Ms. Davis returned the call. But Dean and Ms. Davis made a mistake and left it pretty late at night. And knocked on the door, and old Chief went to the door, opened it up. Hello, Dean, come in, Miss Davis, come in. It's late. I said, Amy, are you at home? She said, hell no, not this time of night. Of course, you know Dean Davis, I guess. Well, have we run out of soap?
Well, anything else, anything that you want to talk about? I think we've covered everything I wanted to about the Alumni Association. Y'all told me several things I did not know. How about the Kenneth Wyatt involvement, the painting?
One year, as a fundraising activity, so actually I got the idea from Howard McMurray College. They had an alumnus who was an artist, and he painted some little small paintings for them, and they had them made into prints, and so it was a fundraising activity. So we decided to do the same thing. We got in touch with Kenneth White, and he did these two oil paintings, The Plowboy and Texas Country. And we had color prints made of them, so we moved that down to $50 a set. And they, the funds we realized from that purchased the original oil paintings that Kenneth had done for us. And I think one of them hanging in your office now.
And the other one is over in the old education, or in the newly remodeled education building.
Originally, we placed them in the Clydewell's right north center. I don't remember whether it's actually through development or the Alumni Association, just through both ran at the same time. But at about that time, you would have bought an art collection out in West Texas, a rather extensive art collection. And he came back and told me, he said, what I want to do is there's some select pieces in there that I'd like to take out. Then I'd like to have a big auction up here, and the foundation received the benefit of the auction. And so he took out his pieces and he put together a beautiful color brochure. Of course, Hugh knows art galleries and he knows artists all over the country. So we set up this auction of the remaining pieces, and there were several of them, I guess there were 40 or 50, and maybe more pieces left. And we had a rather elaborate setup over in the Fine Arts Center. We had that revolving stage with a little theater, and we had Don Cohen as auctioneer, and the technician in the Fine Arts Center had it all arranged where we would display a piece of art, it would sell, and that stage would revolve, and another piece of art would come up. And we had a wine, cheese, whatever to exactly by invitation, but you had to purchase a booklet or something for $10, which cut out freeloaders. And we had a real nice clientele there, and we sold several pieces of that art. I think about $100,000, which the foundation got, and we kept, I guess, 15 or 20 pieces, which funded $5 set up for a long time. As a matter of fact, it's about the only art that was in there for several years. Of course, had it not been for you and Ernest, we would have never had that collection. We would never have had the opportunity to hold that auction. That's everything. And then, I guess what I'm getting to is the two pieces by Kenneth White also. So we have a nice art piece.
But it was the Alumni Association that did the Kenneth Wyatt print.
Yeah, we did the French tradition. Well, you could say either the Alumni Association or the Foundation, but at that time I was probably executive secretary of both. Not Kenneth, the president, chairman of the board. But if we didn't have any funds in the foundation at that time, the Alumni Association paid for it. It was probably joined up with it.
Well, I'm trying to establish ownership.
Of what?
The Wyatt painting.
They belong to the Alumni Association.
Okay.
They definitely did.
And what we have done, just so that they could be seen by more people, was to hang one over in the education building in the Dean's Conference Room, because they were lacking for art there. And so I talked with Dr. Boyd, and he asked if he could hang one over there. So
Those
getting a lot more exposure.
definitely belong to the Alumni Association.
Then the Alumni Association sold prints, $75 a piece, to former students and anybody else who would buy them.
Yeah, that's what actually paid for the original paintings. Proceeds from the painting.
And if you all would like to buy one before you leave
You've got
today,
one left.
Got a few left.
right there in the cabinet.
Well, I think originally we ordered 500 sets, so we had an adequate supply, didn't buy one. But we did, in our initial sales, we sold enough to cover the entire cost and pay for all paintings. So even if we have a bunch left, that's icing on the cake.
I'll have to tell you that when I first took the job here, those paintings, of course, were in my office. And my father came down and saw them and just fell in love with those paintings. And so that was the first thing I purchased from Charlton, with a set of those paintings and gave to my father.
Jay Lewis, what about your involvement in the Pottishman music boxes?
Well, my only involvement was as director of information. I had publicity, but Dr. Joe Archer was the one who really obtained that collection for Charles. He and Mr. Pottishman were good friends. They were very good friends, and he told Dr. Archer in one speech one day that he needed to dispose of those. But I think at that time they were getting ready to move or something. He needed to dispose of that collection of music boxes, which is just an incredible collection of music boxes. And so I went over with Joe one day in the inventory, and I not only took pictures of them, but I taped his remarks about every one of the boxes where they came from, and how he was handling it, how he had each one of them. We'll put that back in transcribe it or something like that. But I don't know, that was really not collection project. It's just a beautiful collection.
Well, since we're talking about art, I'd like to comment on the one behind you. Was painted, watercolor was done by Burr Revis, alum of Tarleton, as a benefit for our Century Club members of the Alumni Association. And Burr did that in the fall of '88. Fall of '88 or the winter of '89. And he has since passed on, and so that's a very precious possession of the Alumni Association also. And so I think it's kind of neat. We have several artists that have come through our ranks.
Burr was in our class.
Tell you a story about where we were going up to Ranger one time, and James Rapids invited us up to Burr to start our class. And Burr was, of course, an architect, and he was doing was either a savings loan building or a bank building in James Avenue was involved in. And I got there, and he said, well, James, he said, Bird is down working on building the buildings, and we'll go down there and pick him up. So we started down the street, and we saw this little boy there. He had on slouches, dirtiest clothes I ever saw. He had an old beard, scraggy beard, and his hair looked terrible. And I turned to him and I said, James, y'all out tramps and ranger. And he said, hell, that's Bird. But he was one fine person. He really was, and he loved talking.
I only knew him, had the privilege of knowing him for a short time, but he was just a delight to work with, and that picture is just real precious to me because I worked with him in painting that. And if y'all haven't noticed, this evidently was after the time of the beard and so on, but the figure in the front of the picture has a walking cane and a flat brim hat. And Burr painted.
About the rock being moved.
Who's going to do the talking?
I wasn't here.
I don't know about
Originally,
that.
what, 1928, 1927? That's 31. I was gone. That was when they moved it over here. But
No, it was put here in 31.
You're gonna have to speak up, please.
oh,
And that's why.
Louder. Can you get any closer?
Miss Mahan was one of the favorite teachers and one of the best ones that Carlton ever had. And the students thought so much of her, they wanted to create a memorial for her. They had something in the way of stone with an appropriate engraving, but they located it was behind the dean's house. And Miss Mahan never did like it. She referred to it as her tombstone. And but it stayed there until it was moved over here. And I don't know what year that was.
Well, that has been just in recent years after they demolished the home ec
Probably
building.
in the 70s or 80s.
In the last few years, I think.
She was a wonderful person.
Yes, she was.
I was a janitor at the hospital. It used to be right here.
That's right.
And she stayed over at her room. She roomed in the hospital. The hospital's about where those cars were. Yeah. She and Aunt Lucy were married. But
And they called it a dispensary.
yeah.
And my wife had her club prom, year-end prom, and I got the grip or the flu or something, and I spent it in the dispensary. And Dick Smith escorted her to the prom. I didn't like laying up there. Enjoyed that very much.
Well, Aunt Lucy dispensed a lot of monkeys that held a job there. And he would go to the mess hall, bring back big trays of food for the people who were in bed in the hospital. Ones getting out of examination. Yeah.
I sure didn't know she lived over there.
Well, yes, she did. She lived with Aunt Lena Lewis, the history teacher, over here for quite a while. Now, Miss Lena Lewis was Gabe Lewis's aunt.
Oh, right here? Just
Yeah.
with
See, the home economics building is right here. Well, these lights were not here. Yeah, the home ec building is right about. But that's just past. Right back here. Hospital is right down behind these streets. I was the janitor.
Spent all your life being janitor, didn't you?
I picked up the ashes of Charlie Bowles trying to close the tunnel. The tunnel that comes across right here, isn't it? Goes to the power plant.
I imagine, yeah.
Well, now the hospital was just right against it. There's a dispensary. Now, Tuck, are you locating the grave? No, no. The tunnel. Oh, yeah, oh, sure. Now, if it goes across here, there it is, at the sidewalk, it goes to this one. I helped dig that, 25 cents an hour. And now, the grave would be right up here. No, I think. See that sidewalk? Yeah, but don't miss this wall. There's the wall. I'm going to say it was right about here. Jay, what do you think?
I don't know.
You don't
No, this sidewalk, that step in this sidewalk went into the entrance of the main auditorium. And they moved the grave, as I understand, in order to build the main auditorium.
This, Janice, this won't be far from it. Right here.
I'll concede that it wasn't on the other side of the sidewalk.
No,
This is good enough right here.
now, is it objectionable if I read from these notes?
No.
That will save time and save wandering.
Okay, why don't
Yeah,
you stand
I will.
right over there and...
Now, shouldn't Tucker stand with me?
Sure.
Can't you read it by yourself?
No.
Okay.
There has been a positive written history about the life of John Tarleton, this generous benefactor of our Tarleton State University. However, those written pages have been preserved properly for our serious reading. Recently, representatives of the Tarleton Alumni Association have wisely concluded that full use should now be made of our modern technology, which can also record history effectively by audio and video means. This brief presentation today could be the beginning of such an effort to record worthy aspects of our institution's past, as well as current and future vignettes of the university life and events. John Tarleton was born in White Mountain, Vermont in 1811, 2 years after Abraham Lincoln. He was only 4 years of age when his father died and lost his mother soon afterwards. He lived with his aunt for a few years before walking to Knoxville, Tennessee, where he worked in the mercantile establishment for over 40 years. He saved his money carefully, and at the close of the Civil War, bought American land certificates, some as far west as Palo Pinto County, Texas. The several thousand acres which he bought there cost approximately 15 cents an acre. About 1865, he came to Texas to look over his land and walked all the way from Tennessee dressed as a tramp. He carried money, all that he had, that he owed sewed in his clothing and stuffed into his box-toed shoes. Although Mr. Tarleton lived briefly for a few different places, he always considered that area near Palo Pinto and Stephenville as his home, and thus made that vital decision which later resulted in the early history of John Tarleton Agricultural College. Among the several provisions of his will, cut.
As I recall, it was about midnight when they had everything ready to go. And they had a crew here and dug it up, dug the casket up, opened it. And of course, there's a skeleton and the hair of his face up on the skull. He wore a beard. And his shoes, big old shoes, turned out like that. And they just opened the casket and then put it back and carried it on over there.
What, was there a guard or anything, an honor guard or anything like that?
It was done at night to keep from disturbing the girls over here in the dormitory. And it wasn't published, very wide that it's going to be done. Some of us that kind of had a habit of sneaking in at maybe the wrong time, having to come by when it was taking place. Oh, what had happened.
So did you actually help with the digging up? And
No,
you were just there? And
I was just an innocent bystander.
Thought you said you dug some of the dirt up.
No, my digging was on that steam tunnel. It was too good. We were paid the big price of 25 cents an hour for working on the camp. And at that time, they built the tunnel from the power plant to the new dining hall. And we dug it by hand. I did a lot of time mowing the grass right along here.
And what year was the body moved? Do you remember what the year was?
1928, or 7 or 8. It's long. I forget what time of year, but it's in the class year of 27 and 28.
Okay. Great. Just a minute. Let me.
Speaking of John Tarleton and his gravesite being moved, just recently the Historical Society has had donated to them by the owners, present owners of John Tarleton Ranch, the house that he lived in, the outbuildings that were used, and some of the implements that was used by him on his farm. And they're trying to raise money now and buy a piece of property adjacent to the museum site to move all of those buildings and the implements and everything in, and have a special part of the museum grounds for his old ranch building. And I believe the ranch is owned by was owned by J.B. Laird, who was an ag teacher here at Tarleton back in the 40s, and his 2 sons are still surviving, and they donated these buildings to the museum if they will move them, and it's going to be a pretty good project to move them and restore them. Story was recently told that John Tarleton liked his meat very rare, and somebody was saying that you get inside this building, you can just picture him sticking that meat on the fire a second and then taking it off and starting to eat and dripping the blood all over the floor. But he did like his meat rare. And you could cut that out. What the? That is a reason to the museum site, but I think it'd be a real good project.
I had gotten down, you can edit this, can't you? I've gotten down to say the early history of John Tarleton Agricultural College. Among the several provisions of his will, he granted $100,000 for the establishment of an educational institution of learning in Stephenville, for instance. That was a large amount in those days. He died of typhoid fever on November the 26th, 1895, and his body was buried on the ground which later became the Busy College campus. During the 1920s, definite plans were completed for the building of a large auditorium on the campus. It was to be located on the site, including Mr. Tarleton's grave and monument. Thus, arrangements were made for the disinterment, which took place in the spring of 1928. He was reburied in an appropriate spot in the southwest corner of the campus near the Stephenville West Side Cemetery. This discussion is taking place on the very spot where the grave and monument were originally located. Standing on this spot now are Mr. Melvin Tucker and Morton Brooks, the only known living individual who were present when Tarleton's casket was lifted from the grave. That unceremonious event took place at night under semi-secret conditions. After the casket was unearthed and set to one side, the lid was removed, which permitted a view of the remains. The old man's beard was matted on his skull, and his feet, which were dressed in high-top button shoes, had turned out. The wet earth had begun to erode the inner part of the casket, which had been padded with excelsior, much of which had decayed and fallen over the body. An appropriate vehicle was waiting nearby and lost no time in quietly transporting the remains of this rugged, generous frontiersman to his newly prepared grave. Thank you.
turned cold back when I was
Yeah,
in school
back,
here.
it may still be operable, but just in recent years when we had gas shortages, natural gas shortages, they used fuel oil in there. They would fire up those fuel oil burners and heat the campus or the buildings that were attached to that particular thing, heat the buildings in that manner during gas shortages.
Some of the students earned their way through college working at night down there shoveling coal.
That's right.
Heat the furnace. Coco Brownlee is one of them. I can't think of it.
Well, Mr. Bland hired a series of 3 brothers that covered about 6 years of time to help him with that plant. I forgot the brother's name. I was talking to Dr. Barry Thompson one time, and he was bragging on this. He said, we've created a new... I didn't know. I've had enough of this. We've created a new green space, an open green space. I said, well, that's the way it was when I got here.
That wasn't exactly. It was the main auditorium until the time they built the Wells Fine Arts Center, and for its day and time, it was a pretty elaborate structure. It would seat about 1,200 to 1,500 people, and at the lower level, or the basement at that time, was the music department of the conservatory. And all the music practice rooms were down there, the rehearsal rooms were there, and all of the shows and graduations, entertainment, and things of that nature were held in this main auditorium.
And the city of Stephenville used it. Wow.
Of course, we used to have chapel every Wednesday or every Thursday or every something, and students were required to come to this. Dean Davis.
What went on during chapel?
Was it a religious service, more or less?
Largely. The dean would usually open with a prayer, and the students would sing a song or two, and then he had something that's worthwhile to say.
About once a month, they'd have a preacher from the town, from one of the churches, come out and make a talk. That was before it's against the law to pray on public property.
Let's face it, one of the finest individuals I ever knew was Dean Ferguson.
Yeah.
But he was not a public speaker.
No,
when he'd get up that platform, it was failure. One of the early ministers of the Baptist Church at Stephenville was Dr. John Culpepper.
Yeah,
Dr. Culpepper. He and Dean Davis were big Baptist friends. And he had Dr. Culpepper out here many, many times. Well, they moved to Cleburne, but he came back on one occasion. The dean said, well, you must go with me over to the chapel service to talk to the students. I was there. And Dr. Culpepper approached the podium and he said, well, they tell me that the King of England has abdicated his throne for a woman. All I can say is, what a woman. That's when the...
Gave him a chance to speak. He said, well, I don't believe I was the only one drinking at that party. He said, well, everybody in here stand up who was drinking. And the entire student body stood up. That's the only time I've ever seen Dean Davis just really floored.
Had we better go for cover? Are we supposed to do anything?
Or talk about this building?
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a gymnasium on the top floor of this building. Do you know that?
No.
Yes.
The gymnasium was a high ceiling. And when they remodeled this building, the contractor was smart. He figured out how he could get an extra story by putting an extra floor in there, and it became room.
Stairways used to be on the end of the hall. And there's a fire hose up on the rack. One of the favorite tricks of some of them. I didn't have it.
Oh, I know you did.
But you go by and just turn the faucet, go on out. The first thing you know, and they had cork, block cork.
Yes,
So the cork would just float down.
I had most of my classes here at the Business Administration division down the basement. Eddie Edgar, Dr. Foote.
Yeah.
And then the English classes were in the second story.
in the biology department. The library used to be right here. Yeah. And the college store used to be across the hall. Yeah. And the business office was here in the corner. And the dean's office was up this way. And moved the business office to this end, and the dean's up over this corner.
Our first Alumni Association office was up here on the second floor. That's when Gus Wortham gave us a grant to establish an organization. And Mickey's wife, Stella, and Doyle Graves were the first employees of the Alumni Association.
Now, Otis Stevens was also a businessman.
That's the guy I was trying to think of.
Yeah, but that wasn't the businessman.
Business manager.
Frio was in there. Oh, Reuben Frio worked in there for a long time. Otis McMahon, Otis Stevens. Otis was in school. Dace Myers was in there.
Really, this business was the academic hub of the campus back in those days.
This was originally the agricultural building when they built it. That's what it said up on that sign. And then later put administration building. I don't know what it said now. Education or something.
It says education.
The rest
Which
of the
it truly
hub,
is now.
the rest of the hub was over in the rectory.
Oh, yeah. That was a noisy crowd.
Up until the time the new student center was built, this was the bookstore, the college bookstore they called it. This way was the post office. And on the back side was the rec hall, the recreation hall. And that recreation hall was the center for just about all the student functions, either the dances or the dinners or the picnics or whatever you wanted to have. And all the in-between hours, they had a pool table, domino tables. If you didn't get caught, you could dance in there during the daytime, but if Dean Davis came along, there was no dancing during the day. Now, they would have what they call dinner dances along about 6 o'clock in the evening after they finished the evening meal at the dining hall. Dance for about an hour and a half, and then by, I'd say 8 or 8:30, the girls had to be at the arm. But once the new student center was finished, and they moved other activities into this particular building.
When Dean Davis authorized dancing in 1934, they truly went all out for dancing. They overdid it, really. Miss Mahan had to go to Dean Davis and ask him to pass some regulation that there'd be no dancing and music and noise during the study hours, during the classes. It's too much interference.
Of course, there was no air conditioning, and all those windows on that side were open. All the classroom windows on that building were open. So there was quite a bit of noise.
Did you know how playing cards came into existence on this campus? Of course, no drinking, no smoking, no playing cards. Wilson Davis, Dean's oldest son, from San Antonio, was visiting him one time. He said, "Father," you know, they didn't call him Dad, they called him Father. He said, "Father, why don't you let the students play playing cards?" He said, "Well, you know, it's an abomination to the Lord." "Oh, well, no." He said, "You'd rather play dominoes all night." He said, "Well, that's true." Wilson said, "Father, did you know that statistics show that before gambling and dominoes and all playing cards, that's true? You know, all the palace and tell the students you can't play anything." That's where it came from.
Before this structure here was built, it was all open ground between the main building, as we called it, and the boys' dormitory. The boys' dormitory was a framed, one-story building. I believe it would take care of about 38 boys, 2 to the room. And it's down by those trees. And this is all open space in here. One of my jobs was cleaning up, sweeping the hall, and taking care of the bathing facilities at the end of the hall. Paid me $5 a month. That paid my board, my room. During that time, one of the boys caught a squirrel and sold it to another one of the boys for 75 cents. So he gave it the name of 6 Bits. And he played around in the halls, and we'd all did just our squirrel. And he got in a window, of course, didn't have any weights or anything in those days, it was a stick holding it up, and somehow the squirrel knocked the stick out, the window came down, and that finished him as far as this life is concerned. Well, we were all torn up terribly about it. So we decided the thing to do was to give him a military funeral. We put him in a shoebox, properly adorned and laid out. We dug a little bit under that tree right on this side to the grave. We had the band out, a portion of it, and somebody made a eulogy over the dead party. We all had the proper ceremony, and then another guy got stationed back over here, and he played silver tap. So we laid 6 bits to rest. And I guess he's still there.
You mentioned the silver tap. What about the silver bugle?
Same thing.
Well,
it was exchanged between Arlington and Carlton.
Tell us
Whoever
a
won
little
the
bit about
football
that.
game.
Okay.
You mean the actual instrument?
Yeah, it was a silver bugle. That was just like a trophy that went back and forth whoever won. But when I came to school here in '39, the fort was still there, and that's where they had the gymnasium.
Well, later they moved it over behind the gymnasium.
And that's where they played basketball. That's where Coach Wisdom won so many games.
Yeah, that's on this side of the street.
Yeah, across here next to
The fort was back over here.
We had a student here, he wasn't much of a student, named McDonald. He's filthy person, you can smell him, he's just offensive. He was sleeping in his shorts one summer morning, and a bunch of the students gathered around his cot, and each slowly caught hold of the mattress and just walked out the front door with it. They crossed the street into the gym and took him up into where the seats were and quietly laid him down. And Miss Feldman, the next period was girls' gymnastics. So when all the girls came in the gym, there was old Mac practically naked, laying up on the mat. He had to expose himself to get back over the court.
structures in the state at that time. The gymnasium.
Gym.
Oh, gym. Of course, it was a large frame building, and it served Tarleton for many, many years, up until, I guess, the 70s when the new gym was built. We used to have a number of the high school basketball playoffs here, and those people would come in, they'd pack that gym. And I remember one time, one of these people from out at West Texas, where all the oil is and where all the fine gyms are, he walked into that building and he stood there in the door and looked around and he said, you know, we score hay in better building than this. A few years after that, it was torn down and the new health and physical education building was built.
You know that one of the students that had the job as janitor over there was Earl Rudder, who later become president of T&M.
Sure did.
The dean of men's office was right around this corner here. I was sitting there in the office one day when this building was being constructed, the science building. And for a long time, it just had one half of it built. And one of the big concrete partitions up there was unfinished, but it was standing. And wham! It fell over. The entire concrete wall fell over on the floor. Well, it shook everybody up in the building. And no one ever knew why it fell.
I think one of the most interesting stories from a student's standpoint is about the bonfires whenever we were playing Arlington, and the bonfire that the airplane flew over and later crashed on the campus. But that year, the bonfire was built right in this area here. That wing of the science building wasn't there then, and all of this was open area. And of course, the trees that are over there weren't near that big. They were little trees at that time. And the bonfire was built right in this area. But both schools had a bonfire, and Arlington had a bonfire, and there was a group of students. The Dean of Men won't like to hear this, but there was a group of students that was some between 25 and 60 students decided they were going over to Arlington and burn their bonfire. And the way we did it, there was a man that had a big cattle trailer, Buford Pittman, and he agreed to take us over there at 25 cents a head. And so we all loaded into this cattle truck, and it had been used for cattle. But anyway, that was our transportation, and we had these white coveralls at that time, and most of us had on those white coveralls. And so as we went on over to Arlington, we stopped in Granbury, and each of us had brought either a pint or a quart jar, and we filled those jars up with gasoline. And so we continued the rest of the trip over to Arlington, and really it was just a rolling Molotov cocktail. If we'd had a wreck, I don't know what kind of explosion there'd have been. But anyway, we were all young, and we thought that was great stuff. And we got to Arlington, and I don't recall who was riding in the front of the truck, but someone was there that he knew where the bonfire was. And so he drove all the way through that campus, through all the guards they had out, drove all the way through the campus with all of us in that cattle trailer just down like a bunch of sheep, and he drove right up beside their bonfire. And they had a bunch of little watch fires around there, and everybody was standing around, and we began pouring out of that truck, and then the fight began. You'd see one fellow on the ground, somebody on top. You didn't know who was on top. But anyway, we all threw our jars onto the stack of wood, and then one or two fellows just scooped up those little watch fires and threw them on there, and it just went sky high. There's no way they could stop it. But they continued to fight, and they captured a bunch of the fellows. I was lucky I wasn't captured. So Buford was anxious to get his truck out of there. And that truck, I don't believe it ever stopped rolling, because we was trying to climb onto that thing as he went away. And so we came back to the campus, and of course we were all a bunch of heroes for having done that. The poor fellows that was caught, the custom was if you caught somebody, you shaved their head and painted them up, and then you put them on a bus and sent them back to the campus. Well, they didn't send our bunch back, because they had to hitchhike back, and there they'd been in that cattle truck with the white coverall, and they'd all painted up, and their heads had been shaved and everything. So they came back to the campus. Well, that day after we burned the bonfire, we expected Arlington was going to come try to burn ours. And this is where it was located, right here. And it was ordinary bonfire, had a 2-holer or 3-holer up on the top of it, and so the girls got all around the bonfire and held arms. So the boys, if any of the enemy came in, they was going to have to go through the girls first. And there was a bunch of us around the bonfire. I was on top of the bonfire, and I had a garden hose, and then we got word out on the edge of town that they was coming in, and you could see the trucks driving by there that had some people in it. But the thing that was really exciting is they came over here in an airplane, and one of their students in the chemistry department had created a bomb that he could throw on the wood and it would ignite.
Phosphorus. Phosphorus bomb.
And so we didn't know that. We'd see this plane come by, and pretty soon we saw the fellow was throwing stuff on the bonfire, and of course we'd squirt the hose on there immediately, but none of them ever ignited. And as that plane passed over, it came from this direction, and it came over the bonfire, and one of the students, his name was Reisinger, the story goes that he hit the propeller with a stick of wood. I thought the plane stalled when it tried to pull up and then went down, but the pilot said there was a stick of wood hit his propeller. And but the plane almost hit the dean's house. It was going right over the dean's house, and of course when it started sputtering, it went down. And then it landed over there just about where the north wing of the new administration building is. And like I say, the trees weren't near this big. They were little scrappling trees, but he tried to land in between those trees and flipped his wings off. And he didn't get hurt. He jumped out of the plane and fled. Later, they took his license away from him, suspended him or something. But that's the best I remember that story. There's probably some more to it, see? That's pretty accurate.
I can testify about throwing the wood. My wife and I were standing right here. When the plane come over, this fellow, I don't know who it was, picked up this stick and hit the pellet. And that's what did it. They didn't have any force to go forward. But I was standing right here.
But it almost went into the deed's house.
Yeah,
It's been trouble. If that it's trouble enough like it is.
Girls out and scouting.
Well, the girls wanted to take part. They wanted to have a part.
Very young gentlemen.
Jay, why don't you tell us about shaving the heads of these?
Well, any time that we captured any of those people from Arlington, we'd take them to the rec hall. The rec hall stayed open day and night over there during this period, and we'd shave a block T in their head, and as Mickey said, put a little paint on their face or something, and send them home and turn them loose. But another interesting thing of that, we called it intact week or grubs week or whatever it was. And at that time, all of the campus was contained in this area right here, surrounded by the rock wall. The football field was right behind us, right here where the Fine Arts Center is now. And the school then was an ROTC school. All the men or boys were involved in ROTC. And they shared the responsibility of guarding the campus. They'd build little fires, as Nicky said, all the way around this campus next to that rock wall. But we're talking about November now, probably. And I remember many a night it'd be raining or sleeting or snowing or something, and those kids would be out around the campus guarding next to that rock wall. And if they finally got off of their shift, then they could go to the rec hall and get some coffee and warm up. But this went on for a week at that time, and also we had the drum beating, which they still have here today, but it went on for a week. That drum beating went on, and at that time it was a drum. It wasn't. It wasn't a metal barrel. It was a drum. Fortunately, they didn't tear those drums up, but that drum beating was going on back then at that time, and it was a pretty big thing, too. But this guarding the campus was done by companies in the ROTC. It went on around the clock.
Was the drum beating going on when you all were here?
No, but when I was here on the faculty, I lived in this old house then. And that drum beating was just outside my bedroom window. All around there.
Okay.